All right, Marty, so here's what we've done. We've completely prepped this vehicle. Here's one of the interesting things that's happened with this vehicle. As we prepped it, as we stripped it down, we start to see all kinds of damage that was hidden by some type of product. Could have been a glaze, could have been just some kind of spray-on, wipe-off product. It's going to be hard to catch on camera. We tried to bring the camera in, see if we could catch it in the light. We can't. We have water spotting, very common with dealership cars. They've been sitting out, they just get sprayed down, they don't get wiped off properly, and the sun bakes in some water spots. Yeah. So what we're going to do on this car, because the customer doesn't want a full correction, is we're going to do a little bit beyond a paint enhancement into like a one-step correction. Okay, probably in the middle of those two, right? We need to get around this car in a reasonable amount of time. We need to get to our protection step, but we definitely need on this hood, and we don't see it a lot of other places. We actually don't even have water spotting, which you'd think you'd have it all over the glass. We actually don't have that. So it tells me something happened on this hood, okay? It tells me maybe a product they had on it kind of induced this a little bit, and that's okay. And
so we got a front sprinkler.
Yeah, there's a good way of looking at it.
Been on a lot, like front line of a car lot.
Yeah,
happens a lot.
Yeah, so we got a polishing pad. We got an unreleased, let's call it a one-step product. Yeah. So this is going to have cut. It's going to have finish. And at the end of the day, this is a really good product to use just to kind of get our start. And we'll do a test spot. You know, we'll make sure that it works. We're pretty sure we know that it'll work. Okay. We'll analyze it, and then we'll go on doing the rest of the car. Okay. So let me take this lid off here. Make sure you always shake up your compounds, polishes, AIOs. Uh-oh. Got a little bit of extra on here. That's okay. Here. Since it's a test product, we don't have a couple bottles mixed up, so everybody knows how it works here. So got a little bit of product on. I'm going to go to work. You're going to see I'm not wiping the product in. I'm not going to dab it around or anything like that. I'm going to get to work. I'm going to do a little 2x2 section, and I can see the damage, right? I can see that I have some water spotting, and we're going to see if this takes it out. That's a true test spot, right? We can go much further with a test spot if we were doing a heavier correction, but in this instance, I just want to see if it'll give us our result. You do it on your side, and let's see where we go. All right, let's wipe her off. Yeah.
All right, I've got some new pad, in a sense, some new pad foam flying around.
Yeah, no big deal. This did a nice job. And as you can see, we're trying to get around this car in a fairly quick manner, but we also know we need to remove some stuff on this hood. So we may take a little longer on this hood than the rest of the car. That's perfectly fine. You may do an extra pass on the hood that you don't do on the rest of the car. But, you know, where I'm at is, again, this isn't getting everything out. This isn't heavy paint correction. This is an enhancement, and then on this, it's more of a one-step because we're trying to remove some water spotting. One of the keys about water spotting is you don't want to overheat the panel. So if you look here, I had a bunch of stuff. How to do on your side?
Yeah, so what we see, just to kind of define it, for those of us that kind of know what we're looking at, you want to look at some type of bright light. Yep. Now, everybody's going to define that a little bit different. Some will even do indirect. Some people are going to choose. Some people will get out, you know.
A paint light. Yeah, I think one of the things also, if you're new to polishing and you're in your garage or you're in your shop or wherever you're at, one of the great things you can do is actually turn off all the lights and only have one direct beam coming in. It'll actually make it's easier on your eyes. So in my shop, if I'm doing restorative work on a big level, we did an 89 Porsche not too long ago. My shop's completely dark and I just have one light, right? It's easier on my eyes. So you see a lot of guys, especially heavy correction guys, will advocate turning off all the lights, having one source of light coming into the paint. But like you said, we have a light up here. I can look down through that light and I can see The biggest concern for this customer was the water spots. The water spots are gone. If you overheat the panel, you touch the panel, it's really hot, there's a good chance that you've swelled the paint with water spots. It'll cool down overnight and the water spots will come back.
How do I make sure not to do that?
Well, just touch it. You don't want to make it super hot when you're removing water spots. Actually, one thing guys will do is they'll preheat the panel, right, with like infrared, things like that, you know, one of those curing lights, and that'll tell you exactly where you're at. Again, we're just talking about basics here, so that's not necessary. Just don't overheat the panel or you're not going to have any clue whether you removed them. As you can see, we have light water spotting. We didn't need to go super heavy, and the customer's not paying for that.
There you
right?
go.
And if you're a DIYer, you may not be comfortable going heavier. So with my machine, with your machine, we're probably looking at 2 to 3 passes and moving on. That's what this paint just showed us. And here's the actual great thing. This paint is rather soft. It's not giving us a huge problem. So we're going to be able to bring up some pop and remove some defects pretty easily.
And so when I look at the lights, for instance, I'm gonna hit that light over there with my eye, and I'm looking at this part here, right?
Yeah.
Those water spots are there. I got some other stuff. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Yeah.
I just know it's not clear.
Yeah.
Right. So then I look at your side in that same light, or I come over here to my spot, and that's clear. But what I do still see in the paint, in the clear coat, are these little lines, right? Those are scratches.
Yeah. We're not chasing deep scratches with this, and for a lot of people, that becomes a safety issue. If you're crazy experienced, you know what's too far and what's not. But if you can put your thumbnail in it, if you can grab it with your fingernail, it's pretty deep.
Definitely. These aren't nearly there. It's just part of, I think that's a valuable thing for people to think about for a second. If I'm really going to hold out a light, I'm in my garage, I've got a car, I'm really working on it, I want to learn this, right? But I'm seeing this scratch, I'm seeing this line. Am I chasing that? Am I not chasing that? That becomes a matter of opinion, right?
Yep.
Becomes a skill set, what people are saying. But most of us and most cars out there, come over right here, get all the little stuff out, because that little stuff is going to bring out the paint more. It's going to richen, we would say richen. They're the reason why the polished look of what the polished look is, and why it's different than a deep compounding look. That polished look, when I'm coming over and removing just the light stuff out of there, it's getting more that I can see, because when that sun comes and hits clear coat, the refraction or reflection of the light, if not getting a good clear look at the paint.
And remember, like especially on black cars, this step right here will remove that oxidation, that grayish look, and your black will automatically pop. Now again, you'll see some things left behind, but that's just level of correction. You can absolutely go much further and get it to a pure perfection, and there's guys with that skill set and guys that want to do that and chase it. They're great. I don't have too many people are making this right and wrong, and it's just the level you want to go to. Level you're comfortable with, what a customer's paying for, what you're comfortable with as a DIYer. That stuff is all individualized to the car. And in this case, we know this car is probably going to be heading to college. We want to leave as much clear coat as we can, but we also want to get a coating on here, and that's what we're going to do. And
there's a part of us that if we're in our garage, we're working on a car, or we're a mobile guy and we like to go around and work on people's cars, right? We can define this in a lot of different ways. There's some of us that will look at it and go, boy, that looks good. And we might even say, that looks good enough, right? Because especially once you've polished a car and then we've taken it out, and after we put on protection, which we're going to apply, but then we go out into the sun. We go out into the environments, say it's a cloudy day. I mean, the paint's going to look immaculate.
Yeah.
You know, there's like what, half of 1% of people that get out and really start. So a good one step, you know, going through nice and easy like we're doing, most cars and most paint, this is going to be the direction that most people go. Yeah, so let me throw one last thing in here. In this step, go ahead and do your glass. That way, if you put a glass coating on, it's already done. So you saw us wipe here, don't wipe. Okay, so what'll happen is I'll do this half of the hood, I'll probably do the rest of the car, then I'll come back and remove everything, because I know what to do now to get the result that I want. So don't do your passes and wipe every time. Okay, that's a time suck. At the end of the day, I'm going to go ahead,
get this done, hop on the fender, hop on the door, and be ready to go.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I want to come back for a second. We did need to wipe so that we were doing what we were doing. We're doing that test spot, but we also needed to wipe because I had some pad, right? I had some of that. It's a brand new pad. You have a theory that we put out where, hey, we just put some dots.
Yep.
And then we straight into the paint. There's a lot of people that watch that and say it's completely incorrect, completely wrong, that I should put more product, that I should put product all around my pad, and then some say, hey, I should go and take and move this product around, and here's even some people that will go, listen, that product that I put on my pad and I'm going to put on my paint, if I sit there like that and do that, the diminishing abrasives, that's, the way technology's changed, you're just basically shortening the life of everything.
Okay, great theory. Doesn't actually happen. If you saw my first pass, it was very quick, okay? I'm not breaking any abrasive down. If that was the case, then I would just polish the whole car this fast because that's what I would need to do, right? You notice the people that are talking about dabbing it around, then they're talking about moving very slowly. Well, if the abrasive starts to break down because I spread it really fast, wouldn't the best thing for me to be is to spread it really fast and then keep going really fast? Okay, diminishing abrasive is a pretty tough product. You have to work to break it down. It doesn't just break down magically because the pad touches and you start, spreading it around and all of a sudden it starts breaking down. And here's a way to think about it. Most rotary guys are going to put a bead down. They're going to pick the bead up and they're going to spread in the area. With diminishing abrasive technology, they cut pretty well. So if that was really affecting cut all that much, you wouldn't be able to use diminishing abrasives in a rotary setting with that theory that you got to dab it around. Because that's not what most rotary guys are doing. They're swiping it on, picking it up, they're moving, they're churning and burning. Again, we get to this place where a lot of people have theories. I don't mind. If you want to dab it, man, dab it. It's your life. Okay, I don't care. I gave an opinion. If you want to dab it. Cool, man. To sit here and say that
dab on it.
Yeah, to say that I'm somehow not going to get a result because I spread it. By the way, I'm easier on my machine. I'm not on the trigger as much. I'm not on the dial as much. There's a lot of reasons to do it the way that I said. If you want to dab it around, man, dab it around. Don't tell me that is somehow better than spreading it around with the machine. Okay, they both work. That's where we need to leave it, right? There's no, if the abrasive broke down all that much going fast, nobody would go slow with a DA. So I'm going to dab it around, then I'm going to go super slow to work the abrasive. Well, you just told me I worked the abrasive by going fast. Why wouldn't I just keep going fast? Sometimes we gotta interject common sense to these topics and go, you want to dab it, man, because you're comfortable, dab it. If you want to learn a quicker way to enjoy polishing where you don't have to sit here and do this and mess with your speed and spread it in slow and then spread it in, just do it one way every time. And I can tell you, if the abrasive was harmed by what I did, we wouldn't have cut nearly the amount of defects we did out of this paint, period.
Yeah, so and there's some people who are like, well, I dab so that I make sure I know that that's where I'm going to go.
I don't disagree with that theory. I don't need that at this point in my career. I don't think most of you actually need that because, again, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go beyond my shoulders, okay? So here's another reason that I don't have to worry about where I've gone and where I'm going, because once I do my first one, I'm not wiping that off. I already know what I need to do. I'm going to leave it there. So now I need to know where I'm going, and I know where I'm going, and I know where I'm going.
I bet you those guys. Okay, so thank you for saying that, because I bet you the guy that wants to dab, then he comes and wipes it off before he goes to that next section. Once again, right, this isn't to say somebody's completely wrong. Yeah. It's just, hey, if you want to get to the next level in your car care, hey, might not, tune into a couple pieces of advice here.
Yeah.
I want to ask this question, right, because you mentioned, right, rotary. You mentioned a bead. Well, what's wrong with this little maneuver?
There's nothing wrong with it. And matter of fact, you'll see a lot of production level shops do exactly that.
Go and grab here, right? And I do my spot. I'm ready to go to the next spot. I just grab it and go. This was always the way I worked my car.
Yep.
Like, I'd love to put dots around and then just go grab the dot as I go.
Yeah, so if you did this, and so let me show you exactly how this would play out, okay? So I'm gonna use one pad, okay, around the hood. And then I'm gonna switch pads. So there would be a setup you'd put 4 dots on here to get started. And basically you would just go through and do this half of the hood and that half of the hood, and you call it a day. You'd rip your pad, you put 4 more dots on, you'd go and dot the door, dot the panel, dot down here, you'd be good to go.
So be a dot guy, not a dab guy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're talking about opinion and we're talking about efficiency, and there's gotta be a balance between the two. You can't just make up things about abrasives. It sounds good, and so people believe it, but that's not how abrasives work. If it did, once again, I'll ask, why didn't you keep going extremely fast if the abrasives broke down so easily?
And when I've met and when I've talked to chemists and talked to the people that produce and actually manufacture abrasives, as we've had to bring in some raws and had to start talking to more people, you know, actually then there's a theory with diminishing abrasives that you would start your tool way down low. And you would move through and do a couple passes at a low speed, and then you would ramp it up on your final pass or final 2 passes, so that then the high speed would begin to break it down at the end. Not that you're doing it anywhere at the beginning.
Yeah, there's all kinds of theories, and this is where you got to do your own homework. Get behind a machine, try it 10 different ways, and find out what works best for you. Because there is something that works best for you. The pads you choose, the compounds and polishes you choose, the speed you run your tool. We know a whole bunch of people that run their speed at full go every time. They never put it down. And those guys get awesome results. I'm more of a 3/4 speed, okay? It's what I like. And when you talk to tool manufacturers, that's what they prefer you do. They say their tool lasts longer. But I just got comfortable with it, right? This is all about your comfort level. This is all about what you design your process. We're giving you some tools to pick from. You want to dab. You want to dot. You want to just keep going back to your pad. You want to wipe every time. That's your call. I wouldn't do those things. I would just simply go. This whole car would have polish on it before I ever wiped after my test spot. Period. I would not continue to wipe the car, right? It slows me down. I know what I'm looking at. I can look through my polish. There's a little advanced thing people don't say. If you can see through your polish, you know what's been removed, right? And that is the problem with priming a pad nobody talks about. It introduces so much product, it becomes hard to visibly see through the polish and the compound.
Nick, I'll just blow my pad out, man.
Yeah, absolutely you will. And debris will be everywhere. Unless you have a downdraft system, which costs, what, $100,000, or you're walking outside, or you're going to a pad washer or whatever. So here's what'll happen. I'll do this hood, rip the pad, boom, I'm onto a new pad. I'm not stopping to do all that.
And it'll blow deeper.
Yes.
That's the thing that I don't think most of them, they're like, well, I'll turn it to the side and I'll do. No, you're interjecting a down shot of air. There's no way that all that's just magically coming back up.
Yeah, and again, this is about years of experience, what we've seen work the best, what we know a lot of people are doing, and again, what we've tried. I don't want anybody to take my word for anything. Try it this way. If you go, I don't like it, you don't like it. Doesn't work for you. Doesn't work for your system. That's all good. It doesn't offend me that you have a different way. Some people get offended that somebody does something a different way. I'm just not that way. At the end of the day, here we are. This is going to work. We got all kinds of water spots through here. I'm never going to have to blow my pad out. I'm going to do this half the hood. You're going to do that half the hood. We're going to rip the pad. We're going to go down. I'm not going to sit here and remove it. I know what I'm doing. And again, too much product means you can't see through the product. If you can't see through the product, you're using too much product.
Okay, well.
Let's get started.
Let's do it. The other thing I know some people have asked, so I just want to go back over it. How am I holding this thing?
Yeah, hold
What
it.
am I doing?
I think some of this battery stuff feels more comfortable back here. I switch between handle and battery, okay? It's your call. If you don't have a battery tool, then you're not feeling the weight of this, right? So if you just have a corded tool, you don't know what we're saying. But if you've used a battery, this can get kind of cumbersome. And so sometimes I'll switch to here, sometimes I'll go here, okay? But the whole point is you better find a way to keep the pad flat. And we did a video that said with these battery tools, probably most beginners need to start with their hand under the battery very lightly so they can learn to keep the pad flat. But I'm gonna go between both personally. That's.
And then go back to that video for those that are listening. We won't won't go back over it in this one. Wow. But you have a dead arm polishing theory, so go search that video out. It does a great job explaining.
Yeah. Hold on. I want people to see something, okay? I did it on purpose, but if I didn't pick up my dot properly and I got careless, I could throw it a little bit, right? It's okay, okay? It's very little product that got right here. What did I do? I wasn't paying attention. I just went in like this, boom, it flicked it out. I was able to recover most of it because I saw it coming, right? But you just want to lift your pad just a little bit, pick it up, and go. It can happen. Okay, happened to me right there. It can happen to everybody. Okay, shit happens. We got to understand that. Okay, you just do it less when you get more experience. And so what I would do here is, it's not in the crevice yet. I just took it out of the crevice. I know I'm going to have to do this part of the hood or this part of the bumper anyway. So I'll just kind of wipe with my finger and I'll pick that up at a different time. Okay, things happen. Move on. Right. So we're going to show how to use a 5-inch, 6-inch polisher to do the pillars. One of the things people worry about is slamming a bunch of compound polish inside here. Not everybody has a 3-inch, 1-inch, whatever. So if you're just trying to get it done with the machine you have and you don't have anything extra, what you do is you put 2 small dots in the middle of your pad. And I'm going to show you, we're going to work it into the glass first, kind of spend a lot of the polish, and then when we go here, we're not going to shove polish into the cracks and crevices. So I'll show you that now. So I've spent a lot of the polish there. We can go back and we'll polish that a little bit more. But the point is, now when I go to these pillars, I'm not going to jam a bunch of polish into the cracks and crevices. I'm going to be able to correct them out a little bit. You'll notice nothing in the cracks and crevices because I spent the most of the polish right there, okay? Same with when you're going over a body line, okay? You'll see these kind of smear on these black pillars a little bit. Just gently wipe it off. And now we have pillars that are in pretty good shape. Is every little thing out of them? No, you'd have to do a little bit more detail work. Okay, this is just a quick cleanup. These areas get banged up quite a bit. And as you can see, we're ready to go. But spend the polish on the window, okay? You can go back and work this in a little more, get a better finish, but then it doesn't shove anything into the cracks, into the crevices, into the rubber, anything like that. So it's really important, and I don't know if it'll come up on camera, but we don't have any polish at all jammed into the cracks and crevices. Same way to work over a body line, okay? You don't want to fill your pad up, move it across the body line, you'll get stuff into the door jams, into the rubbers, things like that. So you've spent most of it here, you've spent most of it here, then go and do your pillars. Again, 3 inches the best thing to use for this, but some of us don't have it. That's a quick and easy way to get them corrected.